Do you want to know how inspiration can change a society? Then Saint Joan of Arc by Vita Sackville-West is a book for you. Joan of Arc, or rather more appropriately, Jeanne d'Arc, was a source of inspiration for France during the Hundred Years' War, a war in which the sovereignty of France was being fought over by the French and the English. Jeanne d'Arc was a peasant from a devoutly Catholic family who claimed to be visited by spirits, by angels. Jeanne d'Arc had become the chosen of the King of Heaven, meant to liberate Orleans and crown the King of France. Jeanne d'Arc was the Pucelle, the maid, the virgin, a feature that meant the devil could not have corrupted Jeanne d'Arc, that the voices heard were not from the devil. Jeanne d'Arc had unquestionable conviction which was able to convince others to join the cause. Jeanne d'Arc made an audacious request to be introduced to the Dauphin, the heir to the throne of France, an absurd request for a peasant to make, but eventually obtained the introduction. Jeanne d'Arc's claims were tested and seeming miracles were performed. One test included the Dauphin pretending not to be the Dauphin, but Jeanne d'Arc was still able to identify who the Dauphin was, knew of the Dauphin's secret. Jeanne d'Arc became recognized by the Dauphin and became an official savior. Jeanne d'Arc was not a military commander. Jeanne d'Arc did not have military experience. Jeanne d'Arc's achievement was not in military prowess. Jeanne d'Arc's achievement was psychological. Jeanne d'Arc encouraged and inspired the military forces. The inspirational efforts enabled the military to end the siege of Orleans. During the siege, Jeanne d'Arc was brave and wounded in a manner that Jeanne d'Arc prophesied. After the siege of Orleans lifted, the Dauphin was crowned as King Charles VIII. Further advances were limited. After a failed attempt to take Paris, Jeanne d'Arc was captured. Charles VIII owed everything to Jeanne d'Arc, but did not attempt the rescue. Jeanne d'Arc was put on trial for heresy, blasphemy, idolatry, and sorcery. The trial garnered the attention of various powerful institutions, but the outcome of the trial was preordained. The trial was based on religious authority, not political, but the people in charge of the trial supported the English cause. Jeanne d'Arc was convicted and burned to death as a heretic, centuries later canonized as a saint. Some caveats for the book includes that the book can be difficult to read. What Jean d'Arc did might be known, but not how. What is not known is how Jean d'Arc survived certain events or known certain information. Jean d'Arc was able to convince others, but what is not known is how Jean d'Arc convinced others or why they were convinced. Till the next review.